Welcome to Fitness Friday Live, hosted by me, Liezel V, in South Africa, in Cape Town. And the reason why I started this Fitness Friday Live is that you can get your fitness, health, and wellness questions answered. And it happens every Friday at noon South African time. And we are in the middle of World AIDS Month. Earlier this week, it was World AIDS Day. And our guest today is HIV and AIDS activist, speaker, trainer, HIV survivor, cancer survivor, stroke survivor, and a person that's really inspirational. I've known for quite a long time in Cape Town, and I'm always inspired by her resilience. So I thought it'd be perfectly fitting in 16 days of activism has just come to an end in South Africa. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about your struggles when it comes to your fitness journey. And of course, my guest will be here to answer any of your questions live on Fitness Friday. So this started in lockdown because I got a lot of questions from people who were struggling with their fitness, their health, and their wellness journeys. And I kept getting inundated with all these questions, and I couldn't get around to answering every single email and question that I got through. And I thought, you know what, let's create a platform where we host a guest that you invite every single week. I don't invite the guest. You request a guest from me just by emailing me, creative@thegiraffebrand.com, and we host this guest live on our Fitness Friday. So hi, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know any of the struggles that you're facing with your fitness journey. And if you're not facing any struggles, why don't we celebrate your fitness achievements? Whether you just took the stairs this morning instead of the elevator, or you did your first 5K walk or run, or you're training for a new event, let's share and celebrate. And with Fitness Friday Live, there's nothing too big or too small to be celebrated. I don't consider any fitness achievement. You might think it's small. I don't consider any achievement small. So please, let's celebrate your achievements down below. Alan de Jong says, watching from Somerset West. Ike, thanking or commenting on my beautiful hairstyle. Ike was one of our guests about 6 weeks ago here on Fitness Friday Live. He shared some great vegan updates, recipes, and fitness tips. So go and check it out. What I'll do is afterwards, I'll share the link because it's really great having Ike joining from Port Elizabeth. And I know we've got guests from all over the world, from New Zealand, from the UK, from Italy, from Kenya, South Africa, Cape Town, Joburg, Port Elizababeth, wherever you're viewing from. It's really great having you here. And Fitness Friday is about achieving and celebrating our successes when it comes to our Fitness Fridays and to our fitness and our life. So please feel free to post your questions to our guest. Our guest is live with us for 20 to 30 minutes. If you're having a struggle or you want advice or you just want to comment, it's super easy. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm making it easy for you, and you can just comment down below. As I introduce you to our guest, Cindy Pivacic, great to have you on Fitness Friday Live. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Liezel. Much appreciated.
So I know you're a regular viewer of the show, and we normally kick it off with the quick fire Q&A. 5 quick questions you've got to answer as quickly as possible so people can get to know you. Should we do it?
Go. I have no
Beach
fear.
or mountain? Here we go. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Lots of.
Can you bake?
Yes.
Favorite thing to bake?
Not anymore, but it used to be birthday cakes for my children.
Ooh, we might have to get you to share a recipe. And favorite fitness activity?
At the moment, it's my rebounder.
Yes, we've been celebrating that. I've been seeing on your Instagram account. Just share it with everyone because I'm a big fan of the rebounder, or the trampoline as I like to call it. So just watch your Instagram so people can see you working out.
Yeah, no, I absolutely thoroughly enjoy it. I must say, purely because it doesn't do any damage to my joints. And I feel that, I can actually do this without hurting anything.
And that's the nice thing about finding a workout that you enjoy, finding something that keeps you fit. And it doesn't have to be anything as strenuous as going out for a 180K cycle or running. It can be something fun, like taking us back to our childhood days and trampolining.
Yeah, I used to trampoline as a kid. We used to have these trampolines at school. And I know even in the hall I lived in Aranyum, Namibia. And I mean, in the hall, the central hall, we had church, we had fetes, we had everything. There were always trampolines there as well. And my dad was into trampolining. So yeah, it is very nostalgic.
And it is absolutely a nostalgic sport. Cindy, just tell us a little bit about yourself, because you're one incredible woman. HIV activist, cancer survivor, stroke survivor. You're a speaker, you're a trainer, you go to companies, you talk about mindfulness, wellness, and you just about all round health, wellness, and fitness.
Yeah, pretty much so. And I always have been athletic in my youth and what have you. So it's just a natural transition when I was diagnosed HIV positive 16 years ago to take that a little bit more under control. And then I was obviously very weak when I was first diagnosed, because I was also subsequently diagnosed with AIDS. Like you said, I had cancer, I had TB meningitis, I had pneumonia, I had shingles, and 2 strokes in a 4-year period. So once I came out of all of that, I had to get my act together. And as you yourself know, in 2018, I had a massive heart attack and a double bypass. Mm-hmm. So I've had to adapt. And as you know, I don't lie down easily. And I've taken initially, when I first came to Cape Town, in Durban, I used to cycle quite a bit. I find I get a little bit out of breath now with that. So when I got to Cape Town, I did start hiking, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I got myself a watch, and I now count my steps as much as possible. And I make sure that I walk fast, and I try at least to get 2 of my 10,000s in a week at the very least. So I make that effort. I use the steps. And then, of course, I walk as much on the beachfront, and I walk in my suburb as much as I possibly can. And as I say, I just recently, maybe 2 months or so ago, I started the trampolining. And that is, if anybody hates exercise, this is one that you won't hate. I promise. And it really doesn't do damage to the joints, because as you can see, I'm a silver foxette, and I don't want to hurt my joints anymore. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy being in the outdoors, and I make sure that I get into the fresh air as well. So I try to get to the beach, and then I'll walk on my own. If there's nobody around to walk with me, I'll go choo 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 as much fast as possible on the beach, and off I go. I house sit, and I take people's dogs for walks as well, and that gets me the extra steps in. So I make use of every opportunity that I possibly can just to get exercise, because we do tend to become a little lazy. And with lockdown, of course, we just all went. I didn't go flop. I promise I didn't go flop, but a lot of people did go floppy.
Cindy, you were diagnosed, and within a 4-year period, everything happened to you. Yet you're one of the most positive and resilient people I know. Talk us through that first stage when you got that first HIV diagnosis, and what went through your head.
Well, my partner at the time was having stomach cramps and what have you, and I took him to the hospital on the 3rd occasion that he was having these cramps, and they took him up, and it turned out that he had TB of the bowel. And because of that, he supposedly decided then to have an HIV test, and it came back positive. What I didn't know is that he in actual fact knew his HIV status 2 years prior to infecting me. And obviously I went, once he was diagnosed, then I went for a test and got my diagnosis back. But the sad thing is that there wasn't terribly much known about it then. That we're talking 16 years back. And people were in fear. The doctors were not very well educated at that point in South Africa about HIV and AIDS. And of course, when my doctor did say to me, I think you must go onto medication now, ARVs, I kind of like, why? I'd heard all these bad things and the side effects and what have you. And nobody told me why I must go on. So I decided for myself, I'm not going on yet. And because of that, I acquired all the other diseases. In hindsight, I say, it wasn't such a bad thing. At least now I know what to speak about, or things to speak about on what you can potentially acquire. And having gone through all of that, I think I'm just in a fortunate enough position to be able to talk about it and to create awareness and support other people.
Was there ever a time where you didn't want to get up and you didn't want to be this positive person that you are? Because there's never been a day, and what people don't know is Cindy and I speak probably about 4 to 5 times a week because we often work together on speaking events. We've done corporate training together. You've worked with me at the Giraffe Brand Academy. So I've always known you. There's never been a day, no matter what you're going through, that you've been down and out. But in those early stages, was there ever a moment?
There wasn't any moment that I consciously did that. There were moments that I haven't mentioned that both times that I had that stroke, I was in a coma for 2 weeks each time. But prior to being in that, prior to being in those comas, I was having blackouts, regular blackouts. So that knocked me down. But me personally, I am very fortunate to have the constitution of a positive person. I come from a family that is supportive. Okay, I didn't disclose my status to my mother for many years. I was taking her back to the hospital. I think she'll probably correct me here very quickly. It was either 2005 or 2006. I was taking her back to the airport, and she turned around and she said to me, "Are you HIV positive?" And I said, "Yes." And that was end of story. And she actually heard when I was in hospital the first time with the first stroke. The doctor asked the sister in front of my mother and my brother, "Is she on ARVs?" So my mother knew all the time, but never ever said anything to me until she was kind of ready. Okay, now's the time to do it. So, yeah, the support out there is amazing.
No, it's incredible. What advice would you give to someone? I mean, you were a bit nervous to speak to your mom about it. And now reflecting back, had you wished you'd actually spoken to her earlier? And can you give advice to other people that are in the same situation as you?
Yes, I would definitely say find somebody as soon as possible to be your referee, for want of a better way of putting it. Go to a counselor, go to a trusted person. And I would definitely have disclosed my status earlier. And the fact is that having a third party to liaise and disclose your status to, or help you disclose your status to family members is extremely important to you, the person that is HIV positive, because secrets make you extremely ill. That stress, you cannot do without support. And yes, I would say as soon as you possibly have the guts to do it, find somebody that will stand by you.
Messages coming through here. Let's get this first one from Ika. Lost my father 10 years ago after he lived with the virus for over 12 years. I'm grateful for people understanding that it's not a death sentence and you can live a healthy life with the virus. And just a great comment coming through. And a lot of people, the stigma slowly weaning away, but a lot of people think it's a death sentence.
Yeah. I choose not to use the S word. I use discrimination. Because the more us that are HIV positive use, and I'm going to use it now in this context, the more we use stigma, the more people believe that there is a stigma attached to HIV. And we, as HIV positive people, are perpetuating that fact. So I try to avoid using it. And people are becoming more accepting. There are certain groups of people, females, for instance, that are far more open about their status. They are the ones that are testing far more. They see them. Sorry, guys, but women are more responsible in this instance specifically. But everybody wants to be out there and wants to talk about it because they see other people, activists and what have you, that are getting something right. So they also want to be part of it, and that's brilliant.
But we still have a long way to go as a country and in the world when it comes to HIV, to testing, to talking out about it. And it's a huge pandemic. So things like World AIDS Day that we celebrated on the 1st of December gets the conversation rolling.
Yes, it certainly does. But we're not doing enough, not nearly enough. We as the HIV activists are not being used to our fullest potential. Corporates and government and what have you, they're having all these little wishy-washy do's, but they're not putting anything massive out there. Yeah, no, I'm very, very
you don't mince your words.
No, I was afraid not. And they really need to make use of us. I said this in a conversation that I was having with some government officials the other day, and I was putting my questions to them. Oops. They actually cannot answer. Oh, there's no funding. There's funding for other stuff. Why is there not funding to be able to push this alongside GBV? Because that they go hand in hand in certain instances as well. So put it together, put us out there. There's so many of us that are willing and able.
And that's the thing. I see you connect with so many people out there. I watch what you're doing on LinkedIn. You're such a positive role model. So it's really great that you're actually speaking out there. You're not scared to speak to government officials and say, listen, not enough's being done. And that's really brave. Ika's commenting here saying, grateful you're passionate about educating. And it's just a compliment coming through. Thanks, Ika.
Thank you very much.
And then Alan de Jong said, did you go through a state of depression or did you just decide to be positive straight away?
I didn't go through depression. I do not suffer from depression. Fortunately, we know it's also a hereditary genetic in certain instances. But no, I did not go through any depression. I did cut myself off from people for, I'd say I didn't disclose my status for 6 years. So I did kind of step back a bit. But yeah, I've never suffered from depression. I just don't. It's not part of who I am. And but with the shutting down, when I got the cancer in 2008, I almost think of myself as fortunate because I didn't have to disclose my HIV status. I could tell everybody, oh no, I've got cancer. So I got away with my HIV status for quite a while.
But a lot of people go through that depression and go through those moments of struggling, of not being able to cope with it. Can you give any advice to people who are facing that? I mean, you've got the resilience. You've got. I'm trying to think of the English word. Afrikaans got such a great word called deursettingsvermoë. The resilience, just to pick yourself up again. But a lot of people don't.
They don't. They most certainly don't. And that is why when I did go public with my status, which was in 2011, I actually went public, and I was never offered pre-counseling. I was never offered post-counseling, but I did feel that I needed the information. I needed to know where to go, what to do. So I took myself through a lay counselor's course and trauma counseling. So I did the course so that I could take it back into the public space, because I realized if I couldn't get, or I wasn't offered counseling, what about other people? And I knew I was in a better position mentally, that what are other people doing? And I wasn't getting offered the support that we all need. So yes, I went that route, and I'm telling you, it was like hundreds of thousands of people when I eventually went public that actually came via the back ends, because obviously they didn't want to be known publicly that they were HIV positive. It was a hectic couple of years after that. It really was. So I knew we were on the right track. And that is why I like to push the fact that government and the corporate sector are not using us enough.
And you've been quite outspoken about that. And you are one of the first people, and what a lot of people don't know about you is if anyone comes to you via a direct message on any of the social media platforms, you're the first person there to assist them and the first person to give back in this instance. So you're absolutely incredible. And I just want to applaud you. You never take that moment to celebrate yourself. And that's because I know you and I know the great work that you do. You're absolutely incredible. Please own that for a minute.
Thank you. I'll try.
Now, I don't know if you're going to want to answer this question. I don't know if I've never actually spoken about this.
I'll answer anything.
Are we allowed to know how young Cindy is?
Yes, you may. I am 62. I'm a grandmother.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Grandmother Cindy, who gets onto her rebounder and just keeps going. Let's talk wellness and health. After all the health scares that you've been through, did you have to change your diet? Did you have to change your lifestyle? What changed for you?
When I was initially diagnosed, there was all the hoo-ha about eating beetroot, eating sweet potatoes, doing this.
We remember that.
You remember that. And I mean, a lot of people fell for all of that. But generally speaking, if you stick to your basic healthy diet, eating all 5 items that you're supposed to eat, the one thing that I did go off, I made sure that I ate in moderation. I make sure that I don't eat a lot of sugars. I do eat occasionally a chocolate cake, and don't feel guilty. I watch my fats, my fat intake, but me personally, I don't eat a lot of red meat. I prefer my chicken, what have you, because I found that red meat actually ferments and makes me very uncomfortable and gassy. But other people can eat red meat, so I have to look elsewhere for my proteins, and I'm happy with that. So I'm kind of a flexitarian. I eat meat when I want to. I do eat my biltong on occasion, just stuff it in the mouth, but I'm very aware of what I do eat. I don't drink gassy cool drink. Well, I haven't drunk Coke. Sorry, advertising that brown stuff, that gassy brown stuff. I haven't drunk since my first child was born. So it was even prior to that I was aware of what I consume. But there's no major things
and
that you
as
have
a grandmother,
sorry?
As a grandmother looking at your grandchildren, and when they're old enough, because I know the one's still pretty young, is this a conversation? Would HIV and AIDS be a conversation you'd have with them? And how young, at what age would you recommend parents speak to the youngsters about this?
Well, I'm sure at some point my daughter will, because I personally wouldn't do that. If she felt the need, he asks a lot of questions. He's a grown-up 4-year-old, definitely. And at some point he will probably start asking questions when he overhears something, because it will happen. But as soon as a child starts to ask questions, then I say then the time is right. I mean, it's the same with a child asking about sex. The minute that child starts to ask about that, you answer. Otherwise, they're going to get the wrong answers. So, yeah. And I would probably say in the region of 11, 12 years old, that is my feeling as far as HIV is concerned. Because some of the stuff that I've seen in the books that are in school is zero.
So when you say is zero, is there nothing being educated for our school kids? Because you work with a lot of schools.
I remember a couple of years ago, this 12-year-old, when she heard that I was HIV positive, oh, wow, we're busy doing HIV. Let me show you my book. 1 page. That was it. 1 A5 page. That was it. So there was nothing, there's nothing about sex. There's nothing about HIV, nothing like that. And then another instance, I was sitting at a coffee shop, and a school psychologist, I talk to everybody, so beware, don't be in the same coffee shop with me.
You do.
There was a school psychologist, and I happened to get talking to her, and she was affiliated to a school that was a religious-based school. And I said, oh, yay, girls' school, all girls' school. And I said, oh, yay, this is a perfect opportunity. And she said, don't even go there. They do not speak sex. They never mind HIV. So that is extremely sad in this day and age, that these subjects are not being addressed, these topics.
No, absolutely. And that comes back to the schools and the education department as well. And I'm sure if you had your chance, you'd speak to someone in the education department.
I have tried. Believe me, I have. Can't get in. And that's
now, tell me about your recovery.
Yeah,
your recovery after everything.
That took a while, because the last sort of thing that I got was cancer, which is angioimmunoblastic lymphadenopathy. And that is a rare form of cancer.
Say that quickly.
Angioimmunoblastic lymphadenopathy. I can spell it. It's a rare form of cancer associated with HIV, and it affects your glands. It's a non-Hodgkin's form of cancer. And all my glands were infected, and I had stage 3A. I don't know where the A comes from, but I was told I have 3A. So I was pretty close to stage 4 cancer. They found it in my bone marrow, and once that had cleared, even then, my oncologist said to me, because my viral load, which is the amount of virus in your system, was sitting at 1.88 million. At the moment, I'm undetectable, which is under 40. And being undetectable, I cannot infect anybody. But at that time, the doctor said to me, oh, after each chemo treatment, which was 6 sessions, 6 treatments over a period of a couple of months, I would drop 1 point each time. But by the second session of chemo, my viral load had dropped down to 111. He said, how did I do it? How do you explain that? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I said, I think it's positive attitude and either positive attitude and stupidity or a combination of both. I didn't know I was supposed to be sick.
And the stories you hear from many cancer survivors is that positivity, and that's what they take away with. But it's also a difficult journey, and even though we can sit here and laugh about it, it was a difficult journey for you during that time.
Can I say no? It wasn't.
Really?
I swear it wasn't. You can go and ask Dr. Spock in Durban. It wasn't. I was given tablets because they said you're going to get nausea. So I got these extra strength nausea tablets, and I got the medium tablets. I never used one. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be tired. I'm supposed to be sick. And after my sessions, and this is not showing off, this is genuine. If you go back and you ask them, they'll know. Because I used to joke every time, okay, I'm off to the shopping mall today. Okay, who wants their house painted? And every time I would leave there, they'd say to me, okay, what are you doing today? Because everybody else was sitting, they were so tired. And I'm like, why? I didn't. I really, honestly didn't. So I think I'm just possibly meant to be here.
Well, Alan de Jong isn't mincing his words today. This is what he's saying. You're a living legend, Cindy, for everything you've been through.
Oh, thank you.
It's really hard. And I'm sitting here and I know, because I know you personally, but I'm sure that anyone that's watching is probably thinking, wow, Cindy's been through so much, yet she's so positive, and she's the complete opposite to everyone that's gone through the hard chemo treatments, that's been sick, and really struggled on that journey. And I want to know from you advice in terms of wellness advice for people that are going through what you went through. What can you just give them, if you could give them one tip, whether it's positivity, mindfulness, mentalness, or what would it be?
Yeah. I would most certainly say find yourself somebody that can support you. Not having support can make your struggle so much worse. And more people, I mean, generally people don't go through it like I do. We know that. More people have depression. More people have breakdowns. So definitely find yourself either a trusted person or a counselor, somebody that can take you through that journey. Make sure you've got a life coach even will be extremely helpful to guide you through there, so that you can get your mojo back, because it's not easy getting your mojo back. And having said what all I said now as well about being okay with everything, keep in mind that it did take me that 6 years. 6 years, if you think about it, that's a hell of a long time to come out and be comfortable enough to do and say what I said about being HIV positive. I wasn't depressed about it, but if I'd had somebody that was there to guide me and support me, I would have disclosed my status a lot earlier, knowing what I know now. And I would have been probably in a lot better body health space than I was at that time.
Now, a lot of cancer and HIV survivors that I've spoken to have said that when they do disclose, they notice how people disappear, especially around cancer. The minute you say the C word, the friends disappear and dry up. What would you say to friends who are sitting on the other side and receiving the news of their friend that's been diagnosed, and what can they do?
Don't back off. They need you. And if you, as that person, back off, it says a lot about you, not about the person that's been diagnosed. It's not dirty. It's not the end of the world, not for everybody, but they do need your support. Speak to them about it. We want you to speak. We actually are not shy at the end of the day about our status. I have no shame about my status. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine with me. I can find somebody else. But if you are a true friend, you will stick by your friend.
And Cindy, just before we wrap up, please just tell us about the day that you bought the rebounder and you brought it home and you started rebounding. Was it as easy for you to get on and start jumping, or was it a gradual fitness journey for you?
It was more difficult than being diagnosed with HIV.
That's your quote for the day.
That's my quote for the day. I was very excited when I got it. I couldn't wait to get it upstairs. I put it together immediately and got on and got off. It's not easy.
And for people that are watching, just explain what a rebounder is.
It's a small sized trampoline, and you have to get on and you have to start jumping. Okay, there are some, and I immediately went onto YouTube to find some beginners trampolining / rebounding exercises, and I obviously took the easy route, and I started off where you don't have to actually lift your feet off the trampoline. But
But that's not actually the easy route. That's how you get used to the balance and used to being on there. I watched that same easy one actually when I started rebounding, so I know.
And I couldn't actually stay on the trampoline without losing my balance, and I couldn't find a handlebars or somewhere close by to me that I could hold on to. So what I did was I made my own bar handle from the beam in the roof, and
you didn't.
Have a bar that I hang on to, that is hanging off the roof, so I don't fall off my rebounder. Boer maak 'n plan.
We need to see Instagram footage of that right away, please. If people want to follow you, if people need advice, if they just want to be cheered up because you really are such a positive person. And as Alan de Jong says, I'll just put it up one more time just so you can own it. You're a living legend. How can people follow you?
I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. And if all else fails and you can't find me, forgotten how to spell my surname, just go Google Cindy HIV. You'll find me.
You've made it really a talking point, and you've really taken the S, I'm going to use the word stigma, away from it all. And it was really great chatting to you today. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you very much for the invite, Liezel. And to everybody else out there, take care.
That was Cindy Pivacic. You can get her contact details down below. We'll share it with you. Reach out to if you've got any questions. One incredibly positive woman. I was blown away the first time I met her, and I thought it would be perfect to have her on Fitness Friday. And we have this every Friday. It's your chance to ask guest questions. It's your time to get wellness advice, fitness advice, health advice, and suggest a guest that we should be interviewing every Fitness Friday live. That's on a Friday. And then on a Monday, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, business owners, and want to learn a little bit more about your business, I host a live called Marketing Monday Live every Monday at noon. A different guest joins us and answers your marketing and business related questions. So this Monday, we've got a runner-up of the Mrs. SA pageant who's going to be joining us to talk about personal branding as well as entrepreneurial advice. So tune into Marketing Monday Live on my YouTube. From me, Liezel V, thanks for joining us. Cindy Pivacic, you can follow her on all her platforms and just be inspired by her positivity. I'll share the details down below. Really great chatting to her today, and really great chatting to you. At any time you want to reach out, anytime you're struggling with your fitness, you're struggling with your wellness, your health, and you just need someone to talk to, I am an email away, creative@thegiraffebrand.com. And remember, have fun with your fitness and be safe this weekend. Bye.